We have 13 drivers set to take off. Drivers up front, very different positions in their career. Driver who starts on the outside of the front row from Brazil for D-Force Racing, the reigning USF 2000 champion out of Brazil. As I said, it's Kiko Porto, the rookie in the number one machine. Simon Sykes joining me back in the booth once again as we get set to go for Indy Pro 2000. Working their way out of turn number 9. Fire things up for these drivers here. Final race of the weekend for the USF 2000 Indy Pro 2000 drivers. Louis Foster on a run right now. We'll see if he can continue. Pace car ready to head to pit lane. Louis Foster on the inside. Kiko Porto on the outside. Opening lap will be crucial to see if Foster can get away. Ready to punch off on the throttle. They get themselves up onto the line. And we're underway. Green, green, green. And a big start for Salvador Diablo in the back. They'll go 3 wide into 1. Check this out under the bridge. Let's see if they can get through cleanly. Good so far. Out of turn number 1 up to turn number 2. Foster trying to get that opening lap run. Does he stay to the inside? And I think it's actually Kiko Porto to the lead. Porto has taken over P1. Foster sliding into second. Sundaramurthy goes to third. So Kiko Porto, strong run, able to come around the bow from right to left to take the lead out of turn number 1. So Kiko Porto, reigning USF 2000 champion, the first driver to head Louis Foster all weekend. Foster trying the outside into turn number 4. And indeed, Gold going after Sundaramurthy as well. Reese Gold on the inside, Sundaramurthy on the outside, but that's going to give him the inside coming down in, if he forces it down into turn number 6. He indeed does. Aggressive for Sundaramurthy. Thinking about that issue, that DNF in race number 1. He wants to come back right now. Sundaramurthy pushing hard. Opening lap about to go in the books. Just a 30 lapper for these drivers here. Everybody else settling in nicely down into Thunder Valley again at speed for the first time. Kiko Porto with the lead, the Brazilian, out in front of the Brit. Little mid-corner oversteer there as the car getting a little wiggly, a little bit of a tank slapper for Porto coming out of turn number 12 through 13 and 14. Further back, drivers getting aggressive. But Simon, let's bring you in on this. What are your thoughts on a super start right there for Kiko Porto?
Excellent start by him. Obviously, if you're going to make the move, do it fast. If you're going to make that move, do it fast. You see these guys, it's very hard to pass first, but if you can get these things done in the first 2 laps before everything gets spread out and you start getting these effects of the aero wash, then it's a lot easier to get this pass done. So props to Kiko. If he can hold Foster behind, that's going to be incredible start to his race, and we'll see if he can hold on for these 25 laps.
Yeah, and talk about how good it is for his confidence as well, right? He's seen what Louis done over the last number of races. If he can get in there and finally break through. You know, he won all those races last year, was the champion, hasn't got that success this year, but to be able to have that here going into the next event at Toronto, if he is able to get out of here with a win, having beat Foster, I think the momentum and the confidence is going to be at an all-time high for this year.
Absolutely. Foster's been on quite a run in the midseason here, securing the first one of this weekend with a pole position to go along with it. He's been incredibly dominant. But Kiko's an excellent driver in his own right. It's a very, very competitive field. Lots of good drivers throughout. Everyone here has a career, and they've done a good job to get here. I think that if Kiko can hold on, it's going to be a great swing in his direction.
Yeah, and I would have to say that right now we're probably seeing the maturity and patience of the 18-year-old Louis Foster as well. Not getting the lead, no need to force the issue, settle in. You know you've got the pace to be able to run away. He turned the fast lap in the race itself, late in the run. He knows he's got what it takes to be able to run up front, so why not just let things settle in right now? Take care of your tires a little bit, let some of the mayhem happen behind. Yeah, Kiko Porto's out in front, but you know you'll be able to put your head down and work your way forward. So again, Foster settling, and he's got a pretty solid point lead right now as well. A second place wouldn't hurt him that much, especially knowing Simon, that the drivers that are chasing him primarily, like a Reese Gold, right now still behind him. Gold back in 4th, Foster in 2nd. It's still a net victory if he's able to gain points on Reese Gold.
I think honestly, it's a show of confidence to be able to fall back to 2nd, be comfortable where you're at, and say, okay, I'm still the points leader. What are you going to do? You have to come catch me.
Yeah, I really like that, the show of confidence. Not only in the fact that, yeah, you got to come and catch me, but I believe that my car in the long run is going to be good over the 30-lap distance. 25 laps actually in this one. 30 laps was the opening run. So a 25 lapper for Indy Pro 2000. You can see Kiko Porto trying to use every bit of the racetrack, kept it nice and tight on the exit curbing coming out of turn number 11, kicking up a bit of dust. A number of drivers did the same as they were right on the very edge of the end of the exit curbing. Let's have a look at the order. 3 laps into a 25 lapper. Kiko Porto the leader. Louis Foster second. Yuven Sooner Murthy is in third. Reese Gold fourth. And Nolan Siegel rounding out the top 5. Both Gold and Siegel in the championship fight. Anam Ahmed trying to scrap his way up in there as well. Salvador de Alba on the podium in race number 1 now in 7th. Braden Eves 8th. Wyatt Prokachik 9th. Josh Green, Jack William Miller, Jordan Missig, and Jonathan Brown rounding out the top 13. Look at the fast lap right now. Wyatt Prokachik in the exclusive Autosport number 92, the fastest driver on the racetrack with a 121.441. Had a chance to talk to Wyatt throughout the weekend, feeling really comfortable having moved over to exclusive Autosport. A different feel there. Likes what he has so far, and I think he's shown with some really good runs over the last couple of weeks.
And Wyatt's a driver that has just switched over to exclusive Autosport after spending over 5 years at J. Howard. This is his first time really driving a different team's car, getting the experience of it, a different environment. So it seems like he's starting to settle in well here, and seems to be enjoying his time over at exclusive Autosport.
Agreed. He's putting good lap times down, as we had said, about 7/10 of a second behind Braden Eves last time by, in terms very similar lap times. Both those drivers quicker than both D'Alba and Ahmed in front of them. So right now, Wyatt Prokachik putting the head down in the 92. See if he can't reel them back in. Otherwise, as I said, Braden Eves a bit quicker than his teammate D'Alba last time by, trying to see if they can't get themselves up into 7th. But it's a 0.6 of a second lead right now for Kiko Porto. He and Foster and Sooner Murthy, who run 1, 2, 3, turning the top 3 fast laps as well. So the leaders starting to stretch away a little bit. You can see them working their way onto the back chute. The biggest gap actually from Gold back to Ahmed, the 2 Juncos Hollinger teammates. Although Porto, Foster, and Sooner Murthy are the quickest on the racetrack, you can tell that Reese Gold not about to let Sooner Murthy pull away at all. He closes to within a length under the braking of turn number 4. So essentially right now, Simon, a 4-driver breakaway early on. Tell me a little about race management. Over the first number of laps like this, we're 20% of the race in, 5 laps of 25. After that, the initial chaos of the opening laps, you're settling in. Are you still 100% push, or are you trying to get a feel for the car and what it's going to do? Is it too early to manage the car at all? Is it still just full out?
Well, I heard that the tires start to go here at the end of these races. So the drivers have experience doing 30 laps in race 1. Now it's only 25, so it's 5 laps shorter. You can push a bit more than you could in race 1, I think. But I still think you're going to have some tire degradation at this end of this race. And drivers are going to want to manage that. Obviously, they're going to push, but maybe you aren't 11 out of 10 pushing, trying to pass everyone every lap. Sometimes it's better to sit back behind that aero wash and save your tires for the end of the race.
Yeah, we got a driver who's gone off in turn number 1. Great point on the aero wash, on tire degradation, but we have a driver who is spun on the exit of turn number 1, waiting to see whether or not he's able to refire that machine. He's spun around from the exit on the outside of the track, or the right side of the track, back over onto the left side of the racetrack. We'll see what we get there. I'm not quite sure if we're potentially going full course, but ideally that driver will be able to refire. Too far away, I think, for me to figure out who exactly that may have been. And it's tough, of course, here with the smaller monitor we have here in the booth, the sun going down. We're getting a lot of glare, trying to pick up which driver could potentially be out of this. Being told that might have been the number 92 of Wyatt Prokachik. And Prokachik able to continue. You and I talked about Wyatt having a good run there, pushing hard, trying to catch up to Braden Eves. I'll say this right now, and you and I saw it, at least saw what happened on track. Miles Rowe went off in turn number 1 as well. I'd actually talked to his teammate, Jace Denmark, said, what happened to Miles? Did he drop a wheel? He looked and went, oh, he dropped them all. And I guess he went way off in turn number 1. We saw a lot of drivers in USF 2000 struggle with race number 1, getting a little too deep into turn 1, dropping the wheel. When you do that, the car could go around pretty quickly. Simon, late in the day like this, right? It's 6 o'clock here, trackside time. It's really been the same kind of temperature. It's only 80 degrees, actually a little lower than it was as the high in the middle of the day. Why is turn 1 so precarious? What is it about this time of day, or is it the time of day? What is it that makes turn 1 a place that you can drop a wheel and potentially have trouble?
Mid-Ohio in the afternoon starts to lose grip more than other places that I've been, and I think that turn 1, as high speed as it is very easy to lose control of the car, and as soon as you drop a tire off on the exit here, it tends to pull the rest of the car off with it. So it's a very tough corner, and if you miss your marks at all, you're going very fast, and a small wiggle ends up being a few feet of track distance.
We know the two real crucial corners, right? The passing opportunities are 2 and 4. That means you have to get out of 2 really well and get out of 1 really well. How on the razor's edge are you in turn number 1? Are you really literally hanging it out every corner?
Absolutely.
Okay.
When you're pushing and you're trying to catch someone, you're dancing the car all the way through it. You're
man.
pushing 10 out of 10 to get that good run to the keyhole.
So, yeah, let's not put any blame on anybody who goes off in turn number 1 because that's just a little bit wrong, and that's all it takes. Prokopchik, as we said, up there. Same thing with Miles Rowe. He went off there as well. We saw, I think, 3 or 4 drivers go off pretty aggressively in turn number 1 in the USF 2000 race. It can happen to anybody. It can happen to Prokopchik. It can happen to your point leader in USF 2000, Miles Rowe. We're now 7 laps in, working lap number 8, and Louis Foster's been able to pull away a little bit from Juven Sooner and Murthy. That's 1.2 seconds, and that's going to give him a little bit of room that he wants to potentially go after Kiko Porto. On lap number 7, Foster reset fast lap of the race a bit quicker than Kiko, so this feels to me like it's lining up to potentially be a 2-driver fight. Both drivers rookies, of course. Kiko Porto winning the championship last year in USF 2000. Look at this. He is on him right now in a big way. Foster trying to go by. Louis admitted to me in our interview that we had that he has never won a race championship. Won a bunch of karting championships, club karting championships, but has never won a Formula Car championship. And this could be his biggest, his first and his biggest. Winning this championship would put him into Indy Lights in 2023. Interesting to see him pushing his way up here. Maybe a little bit of let's call it a lesson, Simon, for young racers out there. Let's say you're a kart racer or you're a young driver coming up in junior formula. You slotted a second. You were a pole sitter. You're mad at yourself. How did I not get the lead? I got the pole. I did all that work in qualifying. I slot back into second. And you may get overzealous trying to get back there on the first lap or the second lap. This is Louis Foster settling in, closing back up. That's the patience I have to think you learn over years of being in this racing business.
I think the easiest way to get around it is just to forget about everything that's happened in the past. So what? You had a bad start. Someone got around you. Now you're P2. It's still at the start of the race. It's as if you started second. Yeah. So now you just go to work and do the best you can.
We'll keep watching that gap between Foster and Sooner and Murthy as Juven able to hold a half a second advantage over Reese Gold. Great run here for Juven Sooner and Murthy. A winner last year in the USF 2000 program, making the calculated move up here to Indy Pro 2000. And, of course, his rookie season, just learning the ins and outs of this car. It's a lot more race car than we have in USF 2000. The class you just saw on the racetrack and the class you see here, the same chassis. We're using exactly the same chassis, the same tub, but it's got more everything. More horsepower, more braking, more grip for bigger tires, more downforce, just more of everything. And that's what makes it so significantly faster than USF 2000. And as Joey Brienza told us when we talked to him earlier, he was my guest up here, a driver for Exclusive Autosport, moving from F1600 and running some USF 2000 races this year. He talked about the fact that, man, it was a big jump for him going from F1600 to the more physical USF. It's an even bigger jump into Indy Pro 2000. Have you driven the Indy Pro 2000 car? Have you got a chance to sample one as of yet?
I wish I have, but currently I haven't. I've heard the same thing, though. Everyone that's driven that car has talked about how difficult it is to drive.
Again, I'll say this right now. Simon Sykes joining us here. He was with Legacy Autosport this year. That team electing to shut down their USF 2000 program. Focusing now on 2023. They'll be starting a USAC Silver Crown team and as well have announced that they'll be doing an Indy Lights program next year as well. So if you were looking for a driver with a pedigree, Simon Sykes definitely a guy to look at. 2-time SCCA National Championship winner in the runoffs in both F1600 and in Formula Continental. A former Team USA Scholarship winner and even with no teammate whatsoever got on a run last year here in USF 2000 with, was it 4 straight podium finishes?
4 in a row. We started at Road America and got 3 podiums here. Had a great weekend here last year, so Indeed. I think this might be my favorite place on the schedule.
There you go. So Simon Sykes available for a drive. I don't care what it is. He would be happy to run with you. So look up Simon Sykes on social media. Before we're done here, we'll get Simon to throw out all his social media handles so you guys can follow him and his exploits and trying to get back into a race car. Things settling down a little bit here mid-corner. You're seeing some lockup there from Reese Gold. This is a guy who really likes to use the brakes. We saw that at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway as well on the road course. He really worked those brakes in a big way. And when you start locking up the tires, you're going to see it happen more and more. When you lock up a tire, you give it a light flat spot. Because the tire's not rotating and still sliding on the asphalt, you're going to start to wear a flat spot on the tire. Well, every time you do that, it happens more and more as another driver's dropped the wheel. That's, I believe, Jack William Miller potentially out on the outside of turn number 1. Yeah, the red number 40 going to drop to the tail there almost. Jonathan Brown in front of him. But talk about that a little bit, Simon. You're pushing hard. You're going deep in, and you're a little too hard on the brakes. You see the thing start to lock up. The smoke starts coming. I have to think in your mind, like, man, that was a mistake, because it can happen again and again and again after that.
Absolutely. As soon as you see the tire stop, your first instinct is to get back off the brake.
Yeah.
It feels weird, but you need to get that tire unlocked and keep it from damaging farther.
And that happens. Once that happens, you'll see it happen again and again. That flat spot able to grab more and more. So if you start seeing Reese Gold flat spot a tire here and there, that would not be surprising. But as he did at Indianapolis, able to kind of drive through that flat spot anyways. It does unbalance the car. If the flat spot gets too bad, it's going to start to vibrate a little bit and really does unbalance the car quite a bit, shaking it around. Right now, Kiko Porto, though, no issues for him at all as he comes across the line. We're closing in on the halfway point. 11 laps down for Kiko Porto. Foster still running in second spot. He's right there with him, a half a second back. Third is Sundar Murli, fourth Gold, fifth Ahmed, sixth De Alba, seventh is Siegel, eighth is Eves, ninth Green, 10th is Missig, and the remainder of the 13 drivers, Miller, Brown, and as we know, Brkacik off the racetrack, and I believe he brought that car into pit lane and is very likely headed back to the paddock area. Let me ask this question for you, because I'm watching this right now, and Louis Foster, half a second back. You may question, why isn't he up there? Why isn't he pushing? Why isn't he on top of him right now? I would think midway through this race, if you're a half a second back, you're probably getting enough air, enough air going over top of the wings that you're not beating on those tires, right? You can kind of settle in a bit, maybe see if the car starts coming to you later in the race, see if Kiko comes back to you. Because if you're pushing too hard up front and you lose the air off the front wings, you're going to start punishing those front tires.
Absolutely. The last thing you want to do is ruin your front tires when you're sitting second. You want to pass the guy in front of you. I think Louis done a very impressive job so far. He's sitting fairly close to the car in front of him where I would think some aero is starting to take effect. But he's managed to stay the same pace as Kiko every single lap of this race, held the same gap. So I think he is just settled in a big way and waiting till the end to make his move.
Just turned his fast lap on lap number 11. Does he do it again on lap number 12? No, he does not, but very similar. A 1:19.37 his fast lap does a 1:8. Oh, actually, they fell back to a 1:19. Both drivers 9s and 8s on that lap, having just the last lap turned a 1:19.3. So Foster probably closing up a bit and then hit the same mark as Kiko. We'll see whether or not we see an overtake coming soon, whether or not Foster even tries for it. Yeah. 6 wins in 7 races, that would be big, but maybe more importantly, taking the points, knowing that he's got Reese Gold back in 4th and Siegel back in 7th.
I would imagine he's going to give it at least a shot.
At least one shot?
Race.
I love that.
Too close not
That's
to.
the racer in Simon Sykes. See, I'm thinking, I'm calculating things. I'm thinking budget. What do I got to do to get to Indy Lights? But yeah, the racer in Simon and the racer in Louis means, hey, I got to at least give one shot at this. I've got enough of a gap. He's 2.1 seconds ahead of Juven, Sooner, and Murthy in the 3rd spot. Indeed, Wyatt Prokacic's back onto the racetrack, so that's good to see. He needs the lap times in the car here, and instead of going back to the paddock, able to get back out there 2 laps down. But Foster, you ought to expect, will potentially take the one shot at it. We're only past the halfway point right now, right essentially at it. We'll put lap number 13 in the books when they get back around here. And Foster has shown good speed, still about 4 to 5 tenths of a second behind. It looks like about 4 or 5 car lengths as they come out of the front straightaway and down into turn number 1 underneath the Cooper Tire Bridge. And as Simon illustrated, you are flat out rolling it through there, absolutely dancing on the razor's edge every lap if you're going to be able to stay. And number 1 in front of the guy in front of you, potentially reeling in the guy behind you. Battle for 1st and 2nd. We may see a fight here still for 3rd and 4th, although there's another lockup for Reese Gold. A little lockup into turn number 2, and really not a place you see a lot of lockups because it's kind of an uphill run into there, right? Where on an uphill, the actual gravity of kind of going into the hill helps you brake. It kind of lengthens or shortens the braking zone a little bit. You wonder whether or not he's going to keep struggling here.
Absolutely. I think you'll start to see a bit of struggle. I've seen smoke here and there from what looked like a Junco's car, so I think he's finding that flat spot occasionally, and just I think he's going to be trying his best not to ruin his tires any farther to make him last another 11 laps.
What do you do if you're Reese Gold? You've been in the middle of this championship battle throughout the season. You're seeing this guy Louis Foster starting to put race wins down. What does it do to your psyche? What do you have to do? You've been in a lot of races. You've won a lot of championships and SCCA and won a lot of events. When you're going for a big championship like this, in your mind, what do you do when you're running P4 and you're watching this guy win races? That's a tough question, I know.
It's tough. I mean, reality sucks if the guy is simply doing better than you at that point in time, but you always try your best to come back and beat him. I think Juven's in between Reese and Louis right now, and I would expect Reese is going to be attacking hard, trying to get past Juven and get himself a chance to go after the points leader here.
And the big thing for USF 2000 and Indy Pro is we're going to the streets of the streets of Toronto. We just did St. Petersburg at the start of the season, but we're back to a street circuit. Anything can happen on a racetrack like that. You know, in the tight confines of that track up in Toronto, there's some very smooth parts, there's some bumpy parts of the racetrack. It's going to be packed with fans, and look at this fight here. This is the battle for the lead. That's Louis Foster closing right up. Let's jump back into the battle here. Lap number 15 on the racetrack, and Foster starting to throw everything at Kiko Porto. Can he find a way by and go for yet another victory? Again, he has won 4 of the last 5 races. Can he make it 5 of the last 6? He's right up on Kiko Porto. Juven Sooner Murthy not slowing down at all either. He's trying to dig his way back in here. In fact, he was only about a 10th off their pace last time by. He's trying to hold off a charging Reese Gold. So the fight continuing here right now. This is happening. Louis Foster putting the head down to see if he can't work his way back up here. Foster head down, and again Kiko Porto. Maybe the cool thing right now with Kiko Porto is he's drawing on all the success he had last year, all those races he led in USF 2000, how well he did here at Mid-Ohio as well. Everything you've learned in your career is something you pull out right now to see if you can't hold off Louis Foster.
Absolutely. This is every point you further your career, you reach a new toughest point in your career. So
right.
I think he's fighting for his life right now, and is going to do everything he can to try and keep Louis behind him. Obviously, he had some success here last year, won the championship, but also had a great weekend at this track. I personally got to race against him there, and he was driving well all weekend on the podium for two of those races, and I think he won one of them.
Yeah, with you on the podium.
Exactly.
So we got an expert here right now. Simon Sykes again joining me. Another 2 lockups for Reese Gold. He's doing what he can to get by Sooner Murthy, but he locked it up in 2 and he locked it up in 4 as well. He is really working that tire. We'll try to identify which tire that is. I think left front tire for Reese Gold, and that's obviously a lot of the corners here. This track running in the counterclockwise, the clockwise area. You're really leaning on that left front. It's still Porto as the leader across the line. They'll pass the start-finish line. 15 down, 10 to go. Anam Ahmed, does he have anything to close up on Reese Gold? This time by both those drivers for Juncos Hollinger, turning 1:19.6 as they're both quicker than Sundar Murthy. Foster about a 10th quicker, though, than Kiko Porto. Foster right there. No, that's a right front tire there for Reese Gold. Right front for Gold, locking up again, coming into turn number 2. I mentioned it, Simon, that the car starts getting a bit of a vibration. Can you tell a little more? I know you've likely done it yourself. When you start locking that tire up again and again and again, what's it going to do? What's the car going to do?
As you mentioned, you're going to start to pick up a vibration, and it'll start as a small little shake down the straight, and the more you lock up the tire, the worse it's going to get. You're going to feel it. You're going to feel it. You're going to feel it. When it gets bad enough, I mean, you won't even be able to drive the car. It's vibrating so poorly, but I think Reese is trying to find that sweet balance of attacking Juven in front of him and trying to make sure his tires are good to the end of the race. We're not done yet. We still have what looks like 8 laps to go minimum, and it's going to be tough to make it all the way to the end.
Oh, Foster had a bit of a moment there. Another lockup for that right front for Reese Gold, but Foster had the thing a little bit over-rotated coming down through turn number 12. He's pushing really hard. You saw on that last lap when Simon was giving us the detail on a flat spot. He was right up on the gearbox of Kiko Porto coming through 4-5, and I think was thinking about trying the bottom of 6. This is where there's the aggression and the patience, balancing them both out for Louis Foster. He wants to make the pass, but he doesn't want to make the mistake and throw away a second-place finish. He's got this championship in hand right now and can kind of manage his expectations and manage his results, trying to go to the finale at Portland. And what we're seeing right now is a potential for him flirting with it a little bit. He's trying to get by Kiko Porto. And the interesting thing is he's not, the guy he's racing with right now badly wants a race win. There's going to be a desire to fight for this thing as big as he possibly can. Heck, we saw Porto fighting it out with his teammate Nolan Siegel. Those drivers went at it and actually had an incident. Siegel and Porto, the teammates at D-Force at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Porto's going to have the elbows up in a big way here. He will not make it easy for Louis Foster if he'll let him buy it all, because even though while Foster's pushing, we know, as we said, that there is an opportunity for Gold, or rather for Porto to hold him back. Maybe more importantly, we've seen Reese Gold struggle now. He is now falling back significantly. Sooner Murthy is going to have a bigger lead. It's now potentially Anam Ahmed closing up here right now to try to find a way by. Ahmed has closed big time here on Reese Gold, and I expect the lap times there will be different. Let's see, and indeed, they have changed. That's actually Ahmed's car. So indeed, it's Anam Ahmed up to P4. An issue with Gold. He has dropped back to 5th. So Anam Ahmed going into the 4th spot, and there's a bit of a lockup for Louis Foster. Does that change this concept? Big over-under there for De Alba. He's going to try to diamond the corner off to get a better run here on Gold coming down the straightaway. Reese Gold, all those lockups, as Simon alluded to, could eventually make this car almost impossible to drive. He's going to have his hands full with Salvador De Alba when they get down into turn number 4. De Alba locks up himself. Oh, no, that was Gold again locking up. So Salvador De Alba, a veteran. He's going to see that. He's going to know he's got a wounded warrior in front of him, potentially able to get by. What a drive right now for De Alba, trying to get himself back through. Out front, still Kiko Porto, though, with 7 laps to go. 18 laps in the books. Louis Foster, a bit of a lock-up a lap ago. You wonder whether or not that could change his mindset. He's been really hustling the car through turn number 12 here, Simon. Coming out of turn number 11 and around the carousel, he's been really hanging the thing out. Almost got it sideways a couple of times. When that starts happening, when you're pushing like that, you have a moment. Do you back off a little bit, or is there still that killer instinct to say, yeah, I just was dancing on the edge there. I'm good to go. Absolutely
not. He just found the limit of the car. He knows where it is, and he can push to it next lap. I think with 6 laps to go here, he's starting to put the pressure on. I think he's felt the worst of the tires and thinks that what he has is go time.
This could be their big run here as they come down the back straightaway. Big run coming, I think, for Louis Foster. Looked like he got a great run out of turn number 2. Locked it up a bit on the inside, coming down into turn number 4 now. And he can't quite do it. Looks to the outside, but this is the over-under now. He'll come to the top of the racetrack, try to cut back down to the bottom, putting the pressure on Kiko Porto. Here's the other over-under coming. He is doing everything he can to get by. Reese Gold having to hold back Salvador De Alba as well. That's that fight right there. Leaders again through turn number 8 and 9. And really, sometimes this is all you can do. Put the pressure on. Be relentless. Don't give up. Push, push, push. And Simon, if you do the right thing, you can potentially force that guy in front of you into that little mistake that will allow you to capitalize.
Absolutely. When you're being chased, it's an incredibly difficult race. I was talking with Braden earlier this year. He had an incredibly tough race. I think it was with Louis behind him at Barber Motorsports Park, where he said that was the most physical race he's ever done in his life, simply for the fact that he was being chased for the entire race straight. It really can start to mess with your head. It can get in there. It's a lot of work to defend, and it's far easier to attack. So I think Louis is starting to put on the pressure here to see if he can make this happen.
And that was Lockie Hughes yesterday for second, right? He literally came out of the car and said he's never been that tired. He was physically exhausted, being pounded on first by Nikita Johnson and then by Jace Denmark, and it was non-stop as they were pushing on each other. And again, that's what you said. Not only does that push you physically, it pushes you mentally as well, as you have to keep that 100% focus the entire time. And that's all Louis Foster's doing right now, trying to see if he can't force Kiko Porto into a mistake. And lost in all this excitement, the battle for P1, the battle with Reese Gold trying to hold off Salvador De Alba. How about this drive for Yuven Sundramurthy? He got it on the podium at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Started in 3rd, holding on to 3rd. Great run for Yuven. No issues at all, potentially coming home with a podium finish.
Absolutely. He's done his job this weekend. I was talking to him earlier, and he said that this race, that was his goal. He wanted to finish on the podium. He didn't have a great race won. It's tough. We've seen this field flip on its head between 2 sessions. So it's incredibly competitive, and I think he's going to be very happy if he can hold Inam Ahmed off here and secure the podium.
Yeah, 4 laps remaining for Kiko Porto to see if he can't win his first Indy Pro 2000 race. It's interesting. In USF 2000, we only have one rookie driver in the top 10, and that is Jagger Jones. We've seen the rookies really have a tremendous time of it here in Indy Pro 2000. We know Foster's won a bunch of races. Nolan Siegel's got 2 victories as well. Josh Green has a win. Salvador De Alba has a victory. We're looking for yet another rookie driver to potentially stand on top of the podium here in Indy Pro 2000 to cap off the day. But Louis Foster may have something to say about that. Relentless in the pressure he has been throughout the entire race. He's not quite done. And there's the fight. I think De Alba going around the outside of Gold into turn number 4. Moves Salvador De Alba up into P5 Gold. That issue with the flat spot dropping him down to P6. That is tough. But again, relentless pressure for De Alba, taking full advantage of just that little bit of an issue, that flat spot for Reese Gold.
Absolutely, and I think we saw this coming for a little while here. As soon as you hit that flat spot, it's so easy to keep it going and have it get worse as the session develops. Unfortunately, unlike overheating your tires, you can't simply just cool them down. Once you flat spot the tire, it's done for good. Every time you do it, it's just going to get worse.
That's a really good point. When you do push and overheat your tires, Louis Foster said that to me on the podium, right? That he cooled the tires down a bit midway through and then pushed to get that other fast lap. You can't do that with a flat spot. It's physical damage on the tire, and when that happens, you're pretty much done. There's another flat spot there potentially coming for Anam Ahmed. So both of the Juncos Hollinger drivers having some trouble. That may allow Salvador De Alba over the last couple of laps here to reel in Ahmed. We'll look at lap times. Last time by, he was quicker by a half a second. So De Alba ready to try to run down Anam Ahmed for that 4th position. I'm telling you, De Alba, the most improved driver of the season in my mind, no doubt about it. He has really stepped up, having moved from the Mexican NASCAR and Super Copa Series with the Jordan Andretti Autosport, and to find himself where he is now, essentially running top 5, running for podiums here. I like what I'm seeing out of De Alba. If he comes back for Indy Pro 2020-23, this guy's going to be an instant championship contender, doing a great job for Jay Howard Driver Development. Porto still up front, though, holding the lead. Foster has been biding his time. Even a second-place finish is going to move Foster further up. And you wonder whether or not, as we get, 2 laps to go? 3 laps. No, 2 laps to go this time by. Are they on the radio with Foster now saying, hey, listen, I know you want this race win. I get it. But Gold just fell back from 3rd to 4th to 5th. He's 6th right now. Second's going to be good. If you're the team owner, are you on the radio? And if you're the driver, are you listening?
Louis been pretty smart this season. I might let him have this one and just see what he does. He's
What's with you
smart.
guys giving the green light to everybody? This makes me laugh.
He's looked a couple times, but he's never made a hard committed move where it would have put both of them at risk. So from what I'm seeing so far is great smart racing, and we'll see if he actually decides to force the issue here in these last 2 laps.
I have 100% certainty if I asked a team owner, I would get a different answer. That's a race car driver's answer, Simon Sykes. You copped out on that one. Go straight race car driver. Oh, I'd give him the green light. I don't know. With a championship like this and a chance to really jump forward, can you imagine getting together here right now? Both those drivers going off the racetrack, moving Gold from 6th up to 4th. No way. Bring it home in 2nd, and we'll go to Toronto with a massive point lead. Although, again, Louis Foster's still the guy that's behind the wheel. He's not done yet with Kiko Porto. We got 1 lap to go. White flag flying. Final lap of Indy Pro 2000, the doubleheader here at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Will Kiko Porto come through, the reigning USF 2000 champion? Can he win in his debut season of Indy Pro? This is, as I always said, could potentially open the floodgates for a guy like Kiko Porto. A lot of talent, great team in D-Force. Add in that little sprinkling, maybe more of a big heaping wheelbarrow full of confidence, and he may find himself with more wins before the season is up. There is 3rd, 4th, and 5th, and indeed, Anam Ahmed closing on Sooner Amurli and Salvador De Alba closing on Ahmed. That's the fight for the podium right there. Does Ahmed have anything for him? Down into turn number 4, not quite there for Louis Foster. Does he over-under coming through 5 and 6? They'll work their way back down the hill into turn number 6. Indeed, Porto holding the lead, and really from there, I don't know there's much more that you can do unless Kiko makes a mistake as you come through 8 and 9, and even into Thunder Valley, not close enough. Porto in the road to Indy, scholarship colors, looking to try to put D-Force on the top of the box here at Mid-Ohio, up out of Thunder Valley. All he's got to do is negotiate the carousel. Foster throws it in deep, tries to close back up. Does he have any trouble coming out of the carousel? Could they go side by side? No, and the winner for the first time in Indy Pro 2000, Kiko Porto. And the adulation and excitement. Look at that. D-Force Racing. Thrilled with that one. What a huge huge win for D-Force Racing and Kiko Porto. Excited to see Indy Lights get on the racetrack tomorrow at 10:35 start for the drivers at the very top rung of the road to Indy. This guy wants to be here one day himself. Kiko Porto already with a championship in USF 2000, trying to follow in the footsteps of guys like Christian Rasmussen and Kyle Kirkwood, who have worked their way into Indy Lights, in the case of Kirkwood, all the way to the NTT IndyCar Series. We'll watch this celebration from the Brazilian, his first win. I love it. There it is right there. Kiko Porto with the win, folks. Louis Foster in second, as we said, and Yuvan Sundermurthy rounding out the top three. We'll head down to Victory Lane and cap things off here from the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Don't go anywhere. The winner today for D-Force Racing, Kiko Porto! Kiko, congratulations. What a fantastic drive. The first win, always big to get. Just give me your emotions on that to start.
Man, what a special moment for me. We had a difficult start of season, but a lot of work with me, D-Force, all the engineering, mechanics, and we never stopped believe this, you know? So that's just why the result comes with a lot of hard job. I want to say thank you for the team. It's like, what a special moment to be back to this, you know. So I will miss a lot this podium. This podium here, I grabbed the championship last year, so what a special moment to come back here and grab this win.
Exactly. Listen, it was not easy either. You were pushed by the guy leading the points. Tell me a little bit about all the pressure you were feeling from Louis. Were there any mistakes at all, or did you just keep your head down?
Louis was so fast during all the race, so I was trying to brake late, have a good exit, but some moment he had like even better exit than me all the time, and I was trying to defend in turn 4, and I think this repeat like 6 times, I don't know. But what a difficult race, 25 laps here with this pressure, it's not easy.
Congratulations, get up on top. You were the winner at Mid-Ohio, ladies and gentlemen. His first win in Indy Pro 2000. Another round of applause for Kiko Porto. Let's bring in that first place trophy. Parker Wells helping me out. Parker, jump on top there with him. Get right up on top there with him. There you go. Parker Wells, one of our guests from Cooper, helping out. A fantastic drive for Kiko Porto, and you can hear it in his voice how important it is. He was able to win the championship last year here at Mid-Ohio. This is a special victory lane for the young Brazilian driver, and able to get that first victory, challenged for 25 straight laps by our current point leader, Louis Foster. That makes this win all the sweeter. Big one as well for Yuvan Sundermurthy as he's able to get himself back onto the podium. The momentum continuing for the driver here from Wisconsin. But again, there is your international podium here in this program. Of course, the Brazilian with Kiko Porto, the British driver, Louis Foster, and the American, Yuvan Sundermurthy. What a tremendous drive for all these guys to cap off what's been an exciting weekend here for the drivers in the first 2 rungs of the road to Indy. 3 races for USF 2000, 2 races for the drivers in Indy Pro, and a single race tomorrow morning for Indy Lights, presented by Cooper Tires, the very top rung of this road to Indy. And we've seen so many drivers work their way out of this USF 2000 and Indy Pro 2000 category into Indy Lights, and eventually into the NTT IndyCar Series every year. Anywhere between 24 and 26, 27 drivers in the Indianapolis 500 work their way through this road to Indy, whether it was USF 2000, Indy Pro, or Indy Lights. The graduates continue to dominate the grid of 33 at the corner of 16th and Georgetown. Ladies and gentlemen, his first win in Indy Pro 2000, and no doubt about it, they're going to gang up on him. Kiko Porto with the win. Louis Foster will leave Mid-Ohio as your point leader in Indy Pro 2000, and from here we head to the streets of Toronto in just 2 weeks' time. Enjoy Sunday, ladies and gentlemen. So much great racing for you. Indy Lights, and of course, the main event for the NTT IndyCar Series. Thank you so much for being with us here on Road to Indy TV. On behalf of Anderson Promotions, my name's Rob Howden. So long from Mid-Ohio.